Hello, everyone. Hello. We're back for another South Mountain YMCA online program. We'll wait here until it reaches exactly 2:30 and see how many people we have watching us today live. Hope everyone's week was good. Looking forward to the weekend. The sun came out this morning. It disappeared again, but it's supposed to be a really pretty weekend, so I'm excited about that. So let's see how many we got. A couple people watching. Let me know if you can see me. Let me know if you can hear me, if everything looks good. And we'll get started here in just a few seconds. Say seconds, minutes. Okay. Awesome. We got a couple eyes on us. So, welcome again to South Mountain YMCA's online programs. We are very excited today. I am doing, my name's Becky. Today we are doing tracks and traces. Something that's a lot of fun with our school programs. It's a program that we offer with our school programs, and we also do it in our nature classes during the summer. It's just a really fun way to go on a nature hike or a walk and just be really aware of what's around you. So you're not just like really focused on like just, I have to walk up this hill. It really makes it fun when you're looking for signs for animals that were there also and also use the same path. So, tracks and traces. Today, now anything that moves really can leave a track or a trace. But today specifically, we're going to focus on common animals, specifically mammals, found in Pennsylvania. So either in your backyard or up here at camp. So we're going to really focus on tracks today. Tracks are the footprints that animals leave behind, that type of thing. Traces, that's more about, hi Kim, yay! My son loves Bindenwood Day Camp. Yay, we do too. Yay, Bindenwood. Binden what? So anyway, traces is more about other things that animals leave behind, like scat, poop, fur, if they broke branches or they like laid down on grass, you can see that. If they ate something and left the remains behind, so like if something ate a nut and left the shell of the nut behind, that's what we're talking about when we're talking about traces of things. But like I said, today we're really going to focus on tracks, and we have 4 animals that we're going to, and maybe 5 if we get there, and then we have a mystery animal that we're going to look at the track, and you guys are going to try to guess what the track is. For each of our animals, I'm going to show you the track, and we're going to kind of go through a couple of steps that you're going to go through when you see a track to kind of narrow down what you think that animal is. So those steps are, when you first come across a track, now you got to first take into where you are. Where did you find this track? Because different animals live in different places and they roam around different places. So location is really important. Size. How big is this track? Because again, that will kind of narrow down what type of animal it is. A squirrel has a very different size track than a bobcat. They're very different. And also the shape of it. Does it have toes? Does it have hooves? Does it have pads? What is the shape of that print? Or are the prints the same in the set? So meaning, are the front or are the 4 prints or the 4 tracks, the front feet, the same shape as the back feet? Because again, some animals have all 4 feet look exactly the same or pretty similar, while some animals have really different back and front feet. So all of these things, when you're looking at a track, you're going to think about that, and it's going to help you decide what that animal is. Okay? So we're going to get started. We're going to get started on the first track. Now, this one might be a little easy, maybe not, I'm not going to judge, but if you get it, you can put it in the comments, shout them out if you know what it is, but we are going to go through our step process to see where, how we can guess or make that educational guess on what this animal is. So, our first track is, now, I have these molds, these inverted tracks that I'm going to show you guys, just so you can see a little bit more detail. It's easier than seeing them out in the dirt or something like that. So our first track is right there. That's our first track. Now, remember, we're going to look at it and we're going to say, let's look at the size of it. Let's look at the shape of it. Let's look at if it's a hoof, if it's a toe, if it has toes, if it has pads, and we're going to kind of decide. Now, you would find this track in the woods, maybe along a really skinny, narrow trail. You could see it next to a water source. You could see it on the edge of a field. Now, remember, to see tracks, you're going to have to be, like, there's going to have to be a substrate or the ground, whatever is on the ground needs to be able to make tracks. So if you're looking at a rock, unless it has mud on it, it's going to be really hard to see a track. Sand is great. Snow is amazing. If you go on snow hikes, it's really easy to see tracks. Anyway, back to this. So I'm sure you've all guessed by now what this is. It is a deer track. Now, cool thing about deer tracks. Deer tracks actually, now deer have hooves. Now they're not like normal hooves. They're not like horse hooves. They actually have something called cloven hoofs. So you see that break in the hoof right there. Very similar to cows, pigs, goats. Now these hooves, these cloven hooves, the reason why they have really good balance when they have that. So over this rocky terrain that we have here in Pennsylvania, they're able to balance and run really fast without tripping up. If you see goats or anything like that, like goats can literally just like kind of like, it looks like they're clinging to the side of the mountain. And that's all because of these hooves having really, really great grip on them. So that's with deer. Now for deer, you know, if you see a deer print, you'll be able to see that this point of it, that's the front of it. So whatever this point is pointing to, that's the direction the deer was going in, okay? Now, I mentioned that deer have paths, that you might see this on a path. Deer have really strong routines, meaning that they basically do the same thing every day or every 2 days. They kind of sleep. They usually sleep in the same spot every night. They go to the same water source. They eat at the same spot. They eat in the same areas every time. So for instance, I see deer in my backyard every single day. And that's just part of their habit. They wander through the backyard around, 8 o'clock in the morning, go into their next spot. So we have a lot of deer here on the mountain. Now, you usually see deer in the morning or in the evening. That's because deer are called crepuscular. They're most active during the evening and morning time. Crepuscular. So not nocturnal, not diurnal like we are, like in the daylight, but they are crepuscular, okay? So that's deer, very cool. Now the other thing, how you know it's gonna be a deer, and how you can also tell what you should think about when you're looking at tracks, is there more than one set of track? Deer are herd animals. They walk in a herd. So you'll probably see not just big prints, but you'll see smaller prints and everything like that. And that is just another indication that there's a herd of deer nearby. Okay? Awesome. So that was the easy one. We're going to move on. We're going to do another one. So this one might be a little bit more difficult. Maybe not. We'll see. So this guy right there. See it? Now, some of you might be thinking, is that a baby hand? It is not a baby hand, but again, let's look at the size of it. So for reference here, here's a pen. Here's the size of it, okay? That's about that big, okay? So, kind of small. It looks like it has fingers. A monkey. Remember, these are all common animals in PA. So it looks like it kind of has fingers. You can see at the top a little bit that there's little bits of claws showing as well. And so now, you would see this print, again, near a water source. You could also see this print near your trash can. Okay, that probably gave it away right there. If you didn't have it before, if you see this print near your trash can, you know what it is, okay? You are correct. It is a trash panda, or more commonly known, a raccoon. Yeah, so this is a raccoon. This is a raccoon's front foot, okay? A raccoon's back foot looks like this. That's a raccoon's back foot, and this is a raccoon's front foot. So the really cool thing about raccoons is that they do have this little handprint. It looks like a little baby hand when it's on the ground. Now, raccoons don't have opposable thumbs like we do, but they can grip things really well because these two the pinky and the thumb, are so far set apart that they can make this motion a little bit with their hands, okay, with those 4 feet. And so raccoons are nocturnal. So, it is dark when they're moving around. Raccoons actually have on their hands whiskers, okay? So just like cats and other creatures that have whiskers, these whiskers transmit information when they touch objects. So raccoons, basically, they see with their hands, okay? They analyze the world through feel. And yes, Diana, yes. Raccoons eat cat food in your barn. Yeah, raccoons will eat anything. They are not picky. They are omnivores. They are opportunistic feeders. Raccoons are one of the species here that will continue to thrive even if people keep building houses and stuff like that. Raccoons will just eat the garbage that we make. They're very opportunistic that way, and they eat everything. But again, so a lot of times you might see, if you see pictures of raccoons or videos of raccoons, you might see raccoons washing off what they are about to eat, or feeling things a lot and going like this. That's just them getting a lot of information and transmitting all this information from their whiskers to their brain. Legitimately, over half their brain is just sensory from what they are feeling in their hands. Very, very cool. You'll see raccoons, they usually are solo, but if it's a mama raccoon and a baby raccoon, you might see a family of raccoons. They don't really have a huge territory dispute. If there's enough food, you'll see a lot of raccoons. So raccoon, little baby hand. That's what you're gonna see if you come across a little raccoon baby hand. Okay, so our next one, it's a tiny one, okay? Very, very common. I'm sure you guys are gonna probably get this right away. So I'm gonna hold it up here. It's a little bit harder to see. There you go. There it is. Let's focus on it. There it is. Awesome. So the top one is the front foot. It's struggling to focus. It's trying to focus on me. And the back one is the back, and the bottom one is the back foot, okay? So really small. Now, we're looking at the size. It's really small. We're looking at the shape. It kind of looks like it has fingers. It has a little bit of nail print there as well. It looks like it might have, and maybe it has pads too. It's hard to tell, right? It's not an awesome print, but they're not always going to be really clear, awesome prints when you see them on the ground, okay? So, where would you find this location-wise? Under a tree. It might just be under a tree, in under your bird feeder, maybe. Have we got it? Have we guessed it? Because it's so tiny. Yes, it is a squirrel. So this is a squirrel print. Now, some people are like, oh, Joy, squirrels, not so exciting. You would be wrong. Squirrels are very cool creatures. We just don't feel like they're really cool around here because we see them so often. And a lot of times they can sometimes be a nuisance. They knock over our bird feeders. They live in our attics, all those types of things. But squirrels are actually really, really cool. Now, squirrels are diurnal. They like the daylight hours. They sleep at night. They have really sharp claws. Now, there's over 280 species of squirrels. Okay, now a chipmunk is technically considered a squirrel, like a little ground squirrel, but yeah, there's 280 species of just squirrels alone. Now, their feet have little sharp claws that curve, really curved claws, and the pads, they do have pads on their feet. They are angled, they're sharply angled pads, which means they have amazing strength when they're running up trees and balancing, and they're able to grip onto trees really well. Squirrels can, I'm sure you've seen this, they can run head first down a tree and not like fall end over end. It's like gravity doesn't exist for them. And that's all because of how their feet are shaped and how light they are. You won't always see squirrel footprints. And the reason is because squirrels are so light. Sometimes they do look a little chubby, but they're really actually very light on their feet. But for squirrels, you know a squirrel is around because of all the traces they leave. They're very messy eaters, okay? They'll leave broken bits of shell everywhere. They'll go in your trash cans and pull out whatever you left in there overnight. They also will make all those little digging holes because they're hiding things for later or looking for what they buried last year. So squirrels leave a big mess behind, so it's always obvious when there's squirrels around. You can also use your other senses. You can also hear squirrels. They chatter up in the trees and everything like that. So don't just use your eyes when you're looking for signs of animals. Make sure you're using your other senses. If you use your sense of smell, you can smell a skunk a mile away, more so. So, you know, use your other senses. Don't just use your eyes. Make sure we're listening and smelling, using all those senses. Okay, so I got one more for you, and then I'm going to give you guys our mystery one, okay? So, our next one. There it is, okay? It's a little bit harder to see, but not too much. Let me get my face out of it so it focuses on it. There you go. So, we're going to look at it. We're going to look at the shape of it. We're going to see, does it have toes, hooves, pads? What type of foot is it? We're going to look at the size of it, okay? So it's about, here's a lighter, and here's the foot, okay? So that's the size of it, okay? Relatively small, okay? So we're going to look at it. We see that the nails are showing on it. That's important, okay? So take your guesses. Say it in your head, say it online, however you're going to say it. And you are correct. Those who guessed fox, you are correct. So this is a fox footprint, okay? So this is a fox track. Now, the cool thing, now we have two types of foxes here in PA. We have red foxes and gray foxes. We'll get into the differences of them in just a second. But the common mistake with foxes, people a lot of times think, oh, I had a fox in my backyard because they saw a footprint that was similarly shaped in size. But actually, a lot of times it is a cat footprint or vice versa. People thought it was a cat footprint, but it was actually a fox footprint. Now, why do you think, what is the biggest difference between a cat footprint and a fox or any canine footprint? It's the claws, right? Cats have retractable claws. So when you see a cat footprint, it's just the pads. You'll just see those little pads and everything. But when you see a fox or any type of canine footprint, they can't retract their claws. So you will see claws, specifically these two front claws. When they push off from the ground, you'll see those two little claws right there. So that's a really big difference when you're looking at a cat footprint and a canine footprint. So the other really cool thing like I said, we have gray foxes and red foxes here. Now, red foxes are bigger. A lot of people see those more, when you think fox, you think red fox. They are mostly nocturnal, but you know, they can also be crepuscular. You can see them in the evening, in the day, and sometimes they hunt in the day. They're not strictly nocturnal all the time, but for the most part, they are nocturnal. Now, gray foxes are really, really cool. They're smaller than red foxes. They actually can only get up to about 12 pounds, okay? So 12 pounds. And if you notice here, now these claws are very long. Foxes have really long, sharp claws. They also have wide space between their pads. There's a big space right here and between their toes. The reason is that gives them, just like kind of squirrels, it gives them a really good grip. Gray foxes, the reason why a lot of people don't see them often is because gray foxes hang out in trees. I know, crazy. I would never know to look up for a fox. But yes, gray foxes can hang out in trees, and that gray color kind of helps them blend into the bark. But they're very light, and they actually burrow sometimes in hollows of trees. So a really cool thing about foxes particularly gray foxes, is that they are excellent, excellent climbers. Now, foxes also make, remember we were talking about using different types of senses. At night, you can hear foxes. If there's foxes around, you can hear them. They sound very shrieky, yelly, what did the fox say? All that type of stuff. That's what foxes sound like. And it's very, very loud. It sounds really distressing, but that's just them communicating and everything. So, okay, we're coming down the home stretch. I have one more print to show you guys, and then I have a little project that you can do at home. So here's our mystery print. I'm going to show it to you. You can put in your guesses if you want while you're watching in the comments. And then at the very end, I'll tell you guys what the print is. Now, this animal does live around here, okay? It is a common animal here. So here it is. There it is. Get up close. See it? Awesome. Okay, so here's the print. Now, this is the front paw. This is the back paw. So 4 legs, back legs. Look at it. Look at the shape of it. Size-wise, it's very similar to a raccoon type size, okay? So it's small, like, it's a smaller animal. You would see it, again, around waterways. You would see it maybe around your trash cans. These animals hang out a lot in trees, so sometimes you don't always see them on the prints on the ground. But they roam. They have a pretty wide territory, so you might see them walking around. They are nocturnal, okay? So if you're not really looking for them, you won't find them. They're very uncommon. They're very shy. They're very scared of people. So look at it one more time. Okay, got it? Okay, we're going to come back to it. Think about what it is. We'll come back to what that is in a second. Think about it in your head. So, if you want to see tracks in your own backyard, okay? Maybe you can't go out and hike right now. Maybe you can't leave your home to go out and hike, but you do have a backyard or a back porch or something like that, and you want to see animals in your backyard. There is a way to do it. Now, I say this, I preface this with, you can do this, but just remember, if you invite animals to your backyard, they might not leave. So, that being said, this is what you can do. All you need is a flat surface, peanut butter, and some flour, okay? That's it. And so for me, I'm going to put you guys down here. There it is right there. So I used this flat surface right here. This flat surface it's just the top of a lid to a storage bin. That's all I used. If you have a flat surface, like just some bare dirt or pavement or a sidewalk, in your backyard, you can use that. But if you only have grass, it really won't work as well on grass. So just use something nice and flat. I liked this because it has a little bit of a lip to it. So it's nice. So it kind of shows, so it'll keep the flour where it is. And then I smoothed out the flour. It's about like a 1/4 inch of flour, not much flour. And I just smoothed it out nice and easy. Then you're going to take some peanut butter, either on a rock or on a stick, something somewhat heavy. And you're going to place it right in the middle of the flour, okay? You're going to place it right there in the middle, and then you're going to place it somewhere outside, away from your house, away from anything that you don't want animals to be around. And then you're just going to leave it overnight. Now, this might take a couple of nights for something, but peanut butter, it has a strong smell. A lot of the animals love peanut butter. So you're going to leave it there, and then the next morning, you're going to check it, and hopefully you're going to see little paw prints little prints in your flour. Okay? So, it's just a really cool way to see what types of animals are in your own backyard. Again, I need to preface this. Don't do it if you don't want the animals in your backyard because they might stick around for a couple of days if they still think they're going to be fed. So don't do this every night. Once it's gone, get rid of it, and then eventually the animals will move away. So types of animals that you're going to see, you might get some chipmunks, you might get some squirrels, you might get some raccoons, you might get some skunks maybe, anything really loves peanut butter. If you have an animal at home, like a dog or a cat, I don't know if cats really like peanut butter, but if you have a dog, just remember that you have this outside because it'll be destroyed in a second and all you'll see is dog footprints or flour everywhere. Your dog will be covered in flour. So that's a really cool thing to do. So have we gotten it? Did we get it? I see a lot of guesses. I see 2 guesses and you are correct. Yes, so another animal you might see, this is the possum or opossum. So here in America, possum and opossum are the same things. In like Australian stuff, opossum and possum are different types of creatures. But here in America, possum or opossum, yes, that is what it is. Do you see that weird thumb? It just helps them grip things really, really well. That's where the idea that a possum can go upside down. They don't actually hang out upside down, especially by their tail. Their tail's not strong enough. But that's where the whole idea came from, that they look like they can just grip things. We don't see possums very often alive, unfortunately. A lot of possums, they are nocturnal. That's when they move around. Unfortunately, they cross roads during that time. But possums are so cool. They are the only marsupial in North America. They eat ticks. They play dead, which they can't help. It's kind of like a fainting goat thing. When they get scared, they just keel over and they actually start to decompose a little bit. They're very method acting. They really start to play dead. And they give off this really gross smell. So they're hoping that the thing that was chasing them isn't going to eat them. That's why a lot of times they don't move out of the way of cars, because they get scared and they can't help it. They just play dead and then they get hit. So that's unfortunate. But possums, they only live for about 3 years. They don't have a very long lifespan. They have a lot of babies though. You can have I think up to 12 babies. So, they have a lot of babies, and that's because they only live about 3 years. But possums are super cool. They don't have rabies. A lot of people think that possums have rabies. They actually have too low of a blood temperature to have rabies. So possums are just great to have around. They cut down on Lyme's disease. And yeah, they do smell. They are kind of dirty looking, and that's just because that's the smell they give off, so other things don't want to eat them or mess with them. But they are really cool. So that is a possum handprint or track. Okay? Awesome. Cool. So those are all the tracks I have time for today, guys. Hopefully we'll be able to do another one coming up here, maybe talk about some of the traces if you guys are interested in. So real quick, we are going to continue doing these online program classes, but we are going to be moving the time of them. So they're no longer going to be at 2:30. Starting next week, they're going to be at 4 o'clock. This way we're not cutting into kids still doing schoolwork, online schoolwork, and also it doesn't cut into other people's classes. So again, 4 o'clock are going to be those online program classes, and then keep an eye out on our Facebook page. We're also going to be doing those 10 o'clock Let's Get Moving type classes. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Next week on Monday at 4, you're going to join Corey, and it's going to be cooking with Corey. He'll post what ingredients you need and everything, and you can just maybe make your family dinner. It's 4 o'clock, have an early dinner, that type of thing. So we're going to do cooking with Corey. Look out for those recipes, and then also look out for our remainder schedule for next week. Okay? Great, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope everyone is healthy at home and stay safe, and we'll see you again on the mountain. Bye.